Hello everyone, welcome to GYANKALYAN. I am Gourisikha Borgohain, and in GYANKALYAN I have been dealing with General English for the students of class 11 and Alternative English for the students of class 12. So in this video I am going to discuss the remaining part of the chapter Albert Einstein at School for the students of General English class 11. So if you haven't watched the first part of the video, the link will be in the description box. So let's begin with this chapter now.
So from the last video, we come to know that Einstein was looking for a doctor and asked his friend Yuri about it. "I can't imagine a doctor saying that," said Yuri. "I must try," said Albert, "to find a doctor who specializes in nerves. There are plenty of them," Yuri told him. He hesitated for a moment and then added, rather reluctantly, "I will ask some of the students if they know one, if you like." "Will you?" "Oh, thank you, Yuri." Albert's eyes were shining. "Wait a moment, I haven't found one yet." "Oh, but you will. And if I do, I don't know if he will be willing to help you." He will, declared Albert. "I am going to have a real nervous breakdown to make it easier for him." He laughed merrily. "I have never seen you looking less nervous," remarked Yuri. "A day or two at school will soon put that right," Albert assured him. So what happens here? Yuri didn't like the idea of Einstein because according to him it was merely likely for a doctor to advise something like that. And Yuriৰ মতে ডক্টৰ এজনে মিছা কথা নকব, but Einsteine কয় যে he still want to try আৰু nerve specialist doctor বিচাৰে. Yuri then remembers one of his friends and offers to ask him. Still Yuri Einsteinক বেছি আশা নকৰিবও কয়, but Einstein hoped for the best and even planned to showcase an actual breakdown to make it seem more real. Certainly he had lost his high spirits when Yuri saw him next. "I can't stand it any longer," he said. "I really shall have a nervous breakdown that will satisfy any doctor." "Keep it up then," said Yuri. "I have found a doctor for you." "You have?" Albert's face lit up. "Oh, good. When can I see him?" "I have an appointment for you for tomorrow evening," Yuri said. "Here is the address." He handed Albert a piece of paper. "Dr. Ernst Will. Is he a specialist in nervous troubles?" asked Albert. So Albert was right, and when Yuri saw him the next time, he actually seemed troubled, and Einstein was actually expecting a nervous breakdown. If this happens, then the work of the doctor would become more easier. And Yuri then gives the news of doctor to Einstein, and also he has an appointment the next evening, and also gives him the address. The name of the doctor was Dr. Ernst Will, and asked Yuri if he specializes in nerves. "Not exactly," Yuri admitted. "As a matter of fact, he only qualified as a doctor last week. You may even be his first patient." "You knew him as a student, then?" "I have known Ernst for years." Yuri hesitated for a moment. "He is not a fool," he warned Albert. "What do you mean? Don't try to pull the wool over his eyes. That's all. Be frank with him, but don't pretend you have got what you haven't. Not that you deceive anyone," Yuri added. You are the world's worst liar." Yuri then tells him that the doctor has just qualified and Einstein could be his first patient. And Yuri also informs him that he knew the doctor for a long time and asked Albert not to tell him lie. And Yuri asked Albert to be honest with his disease instead of pretending to have nervous issues. And he also then mentions that it was not possible because Albert is the world's worst liar. Albert spent the next day wondering what to tell the doctor. When the time arrived for his appointment, he had worried over it so much that he really was quite nervous. So Albert was preparing himself what to say to the doctor the next day. He thought very deep that he became scared. What if he actually get a nervous breakdown? I don't really know how to describe my trouble, Dr. Will, he began. Don't try, said the young doctor with a friendly smile. Yuri has already given me a history of the case. Oh, what did he say? Only that you want me to think you have had a nervous breakdown and say that you must not go back to that school. Oh dear, Albert's face fell. He shouldn't have told you that. Why not? Isn't it true then? Yes, that's the trouble. Now you will say there is nothing wrong with me and you will tell me to go back to school. Don't be too sure of that, said the doctor. As a matter of fact, I am pretty sure you are in a nervous state about that school. But I haven't told you anything about it, said Albert, wide-eyed. How can you know that? Finally, Albert meets the doctor and he lacked words to describe his miserable situation. The doctor then comforts him and told him that Yuri had already told his problem, and Yuri exposed the truth to the doctor, how Albert wanted the doctor to think that he was having a nervous breakdown and get rid of his school. Albert then scares if the doctor doesn't help him now despite knowing the truth. But the doctor again comforts him and says that he understands Albert's situation. And Albert then gets surprised with the doctor's reply and asks him how he got to know all about Albert. Because you wouldn't have come to see me about this if you hadn't been pretty close to a nervous breakdown. That's why now, said the doctor briskly. If I certify that you have had a nervous breakdown and must stay away from the school for a while, what will you do? I will go to Italy, said Albert, to Milan where my parents are. And what will you do there? I will try to get into an Italian college or institute. How can you without a diploma? I will ask my mathematics teacher to give me something about my work and perhaps that will be enough. I have learned all the maths they teach at school and a bit more, he added when Dr. Will looked doubtful. The doctor, very friendly, replies to Albert that if he weren't really close to a nervous breakdown, he wouldn't be really seeing him. Then the doctor then asks Albert about his plan after he leaves school. Then Albert tells his plan to leave with his parents in Italy and join an Italian college. The doctor asks him how he is going to get admission in the college without a school diploma. Albert then talks about his maths teacher who would provide him with a reference good enough to get him in a college. Then Albert assured him to have learned all about mathematics that is taught in the school and some more of it as well. Well, it's up to you, he said. I doubt if it will come off, but I can see you are not doing yourself or anyone else much good by staying here. How long would you like to say you should stay away from school? Would 6 months be all right? This is very kind of you. It's nothing. I have just only stopped being a student myself, so I know how you feel. Here you are. Dr. Will handed him the certificate and the best of luck. How much? Nothing if you have anything to spare. Invite Yuri to a meal. He is a good friend of mine and yours too, I think. Albert had no money to spare, but he pretended he had and took Yuri out to supper. The doctor confirms with Albert if a tenure of 6 months away from school period would be enough to put his plans in place. The doctor understands the situation of Albert and even refuses to take fees, instead asks him to take Yuri for a meal. Albert was filled with joy and took Yuri out for supper. Isn't it wonderful? He said after showing Yuri the certificate. Yes, it's fine. Yuri agreed. 6 months is a good period. This way you won't actually be leaving the school, so if the worst comes to the worst, you will be able to come back and carry on for your diploma. I will never go back to that place, Albert assured him. I am going to take this certificate to the head teacher tomorrow, and that will be the end of it. Don't forget to get a reference in writing from your mathematics teacher first, Yuri reminded him. Yuri was also equally happy for Albert, and seeing the certificate, he assures Albert that 6 months is a good time period. Then Albert tells Yuri that he is never going back to the school. He plans to take the certificate to the head of the school the next day. Yuri reminds him to get reference letter first from the maths teacher. Mr. Coach willingly gave Albert the reference he wanted. If I say I can't teach you anymore, and probably you will soon be able to teach me, will that be all right? He asked. That's saying too much, sir, said Albert. It's only the truth, but all right, I will put it more seriously. It was still a glowing reference, and Mr. Coach made the point that Albert was ready immediately to enter a college or institute for the study of higher mathematics. Mr. Coach gave a nice referral letter to Albert and said Albert that Albert would soon be ready to teach him. And Mr. Coach made a smooth referral for Albert to enter any college to pursue education in higher mathematics. I am sorry you are leaving us, although you are wasting your time in my class, he said. It's almost the only class where I am not wasting my time, said Albert. But how did you know I am leaving, sir? You wouldn't have asked me for this reference otherwise. I thought you would wonder. There is nothing to wonder about, Einstein. I knew you were going to leave before you knew yourself. Albert was puzzled. What did the teacher mean? He soon found out. Before he had a chance to ask for an interview with the head teacher, he was summoned to the head's room. So the teacher then expresses his disappointment about Albert leaving school and also says that Albert was actually wasting his time at school. And Albert then corrects him and says that it was only the maths class he enjoyed the most. And Albert was then called into the head's room, and he didn't know why he was called, but he was happy that it saved him the trouble of waiting for 1 or 2 hours to meet him. He hardly bothered to wonder why he had been sent for, but vaguely supposed he was to be punished again for bad work and laziness. Well, he had finished with punishments. I'm not going to punish you, the head teacher said to Albert's surprise. Your work is terrible, and I am not prepared to have you here any longer. Einstein, I want you to leave the school now. Leave school now? Repeated Albert, dazed. This is what I said. You mean, said Albert, that I am to be expelled? Albert thought that he was called again for his poor performance and lack of interest, but now he was done with all of it, and Albert was surprised when he came to know that he was not going to be punished this time. Instead, the headmaster expressed that he is done with all his laziness and wishes to no longer have him there. Albert's first thought was if he was being expelled. You can take it that way if you wish, Einstein. The head teacher was not mincing words. The simplest thing will be for you to go to your own accord, and then the question won't arise. But, said Albert, what crime have I committed? Your presence in the classroom makes it impossible for the teacher to teach and for the other pupils to learn. You refuse to learn, you are in constant rebellion, and no serious work can be done while you are there. Albert felt the medical certificate almost burning a hole in his pocket. I was going to leave anyway, he said. Then we are in agreement at least, Einstein, the head said. So, the head teacher explains Albert how his presence is creating trouble or mess for teachers to give lessons to other students, and how no work can be done when he is around. While he is around, while standing there, Albert felt that the money he had spent on extracting the certificate had gone waste, as the certificate was rendered useless. Albert was anyway sent away from school, and Albert also expresses that he was anyway going to leave the school. For a moment, Albert was tempted to tell the man what he thought of him and of his school. Then he stopped himself without another word. Holding his head high, he stalked out. "Shut the door after you," shouted the head. Albert ignored him. So Albert wanted to tell the truth about the reason why he wanted to leave the school, but somehow managed to resist it. He walked straight out of the school while ignoring the head teacher's instructions with his head high. He walked straight on out of the school where he had spent 5 miserable years without turning his head to give it a last look. He could think of anyone he wanted to say goodbye to, and Yuri was almost the only person in Munich he felt like seeing before he left the town he had come to hate almost as much as the school. Elsa was back in Berlin, and he had no other real friends. "Goodbye and good luck," said Yuri when he left. "You are going to a wonderful country, I think. I hope you will be happier there." So Albert didn't even wanted to look back at the place where he had spent the most terrible years of his life. He didn't even had real friends or close acquaintances who he could bid adieu to. Only friend he meets is Yuri before leaving, who wished him well and hoped he would be happy in the country he was going to. And Elsa was also back in Berlin with her family, thus there was no one else he could say goodbye to. That's all for today. Thank you for watching.